Okay, I think it's that time. We are officially going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so very much for being here. I'm Nancy Sherr, and this masterclass will get you inside access to all of my tips, tactics, and secrets to make your next career move a wildly successful one. Now, just to make sure that everyone can hear me, please drop a few yeses for me in the chat box. I just want to be sure the audio is coming through, and it looks like it is. Okay, great, awesome, perfect. Thank you. Okay, to maximize your viewing experience, please be sure to turn off everything that's operating in the background. That includes any email systems, Skype, iTunes, and any additional programs. If you have too many programs running, there's always that chance that this masterclass will freeze up on you, and we do not want that to happen. So please shut down all your programs. Also, silence your phone, as difficult as that is, and close your door and really give yourself this time to discover some new high-impact strategies that will change your career and your life. Also, listen up, very important. Make sure you stick around to the end. I have an awesome bonus for you, and I do not want you to miss out. Have you ever sat down at your desk to dream up how actually to respond to a hiring manager after an important interview? Or how to express thanks after a networking conversation? These are all fantastic opportunities for you to stimulate interest and generate high-impact responses. You know, there's no secret that employers look for certain elements in the correspondence they receive, and you might be surprised how many candidates are immediately ruled out because their writing is not clear. So what I have created is the ultimate communications library. It's a 4-pack bundle, and it includes tons of templates, teardowns, cheat sheets, and swipe files, with everything from email communications to how to write a powerhouse resume, interview communications and follow-up, cover letters that win. This is an awesome compilation of the best stuff that I have seen cross my desk in 25 years in corporations and 8 years in career consultancy. Everything that you need to write stellar communications, to really stand out from the masses, is in this 4-pack bundle. You do not have to look any further. So please make sure, I do not want you to miss out. Make sure you stick around to the end so you can make this bonus yours. So let's talk about if you're absolutely in the right place. You are in the right place if you're in mid-career and you've reached a potential crossroads and you are feeling miserable where you are. You also might be relaunching after a career break and have no clue where to begin. Or you're tired of the status quo in your current situation and you're feeling like it's just not sustainable. You might be feeling like you're drowning in the what, where, and how. You also recognize that you were born to do way more than work, pay bills, and then die. And you are ready to make an awesome transition and love your work. You might also be feeling disenchanted, disillusioned, exhausted. You might be feeling stressed over the financial risk of making a change. That's a big one. You're feeling overwhelmed, overworked, undervalued, overcommitted. Or you're feeling riddled by numbing or bitter corporate politics. And you might be feeling that your relationships and well-being are compromised. So here we go. I have a big ask, and it's one that I ask my clients initially when we first start working together, and I'm going to ask you the same. And I need you to be brutally honest and be super authentic with yourself when I ask you, how is your career going? Now, that's typically a thought-provoking and often a complex question that might have many variables and tangents. And know as a backdrop that few people have careers and lives that don't have starts and stops, twists and turns, and even some U-turns, right? That's a given. But when we think about making meaningful changes in our life, we need to first admit that we're in a situation that isn't serving us. So talk to me. Type in the chat box and let me know, how is your career going? Let's see what people are thinking. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay. Steve says, I'm in a rut and I'm totally miserable. All right, Steve, hang in there. Brian says, I hate going to work every day. I cannot stand my boss. Okay, Brian, I've been there. I hear you. Robin says, I hate my job, but I don't even know where to begin to start over. Robin, that's probably the most common problem. People have a really hard time figuring out where to begin. We're going to be addressing that today. Sabrina says, help, Nancy. Okay, guys, I get it. I am super committed to helping you get tons of value out of today's workshop so that you feel better about the direction that you're taking and feel completely equipped to begin your trajectory to finding something that you love. Just know that the feelings that you're feeling are very real and it's not your fault. This is a very common problem that people have, particularly in mid-career. And I want you to realize that you need to be yourself, because we're going to find out exactly what makes you so remarkable and so amazing and help you package that and put that to work in the world. As Oscar Wilde says, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. So let's talk a little bit about when you're making a life transition, personal or professional. I have found through my experience that it is most helpful to think about that kind of a transition, any kind of a transition actually, as an opportunity to recreate, repurpose, revolutionize your life, and paint that clean, white, fresh canvas in a new way, in a way that's more authentic and true to you. So we're going to talk about the 3 shifts that will help you execute that with wildly successful results. A little sneak peek into the 3 shifts. The first one is developing your strengths arsenal. This gives you a language to reconnect with the most natural strengths that you have, the ones that you were actually born with, your values, your leadership skills, your talents, uncovering those, knowing them very truly, and being able to articulate them to others will make a huge impact in leading you to a professional life that you love. Next, we're going to talk about defining your circle of genius, the convergence of your natural-born strengths, values, talents, skills, problems that you're excited to solve, services that you're excited to deliver, and the money that you need to make to have the financial life that you desire and deserve. Where the convergence of all of those land, we call your circle of genius. And we will match that up against what I call your many selves. You have many different opportunities that could be applicable to your circle of genius. Certain job functions, industries, a variety of places that you could land and do very well with your natural circle of genius. And then finally, we will talk about cultivating your true competitive edge, how you actually package all of your strengths arsenal and your circle of genius and put that to work happily and successfully in the world. In a high performance, high stakes endeavor like your professional life, we want to make sure that you get it right. So that's what's up ahead. I want to talk about me for a second so you get a little bit more info on who I am. This is me, circa 1980s, somewhere in Boston where I grew up. I had no idea what I was doing or where I was going, but you got to love my hairdo. I think that's going to come back in style. What do you think? And this is me now, a little bit more professional. I am a mother of 2. I have 2 very cool 20-somethings. I've reinvented myself professionally 3 times, so I'm pretty good at it by now. I am a 25-year Wall Street veteran, turned leadership and career consultant and entrepreneur, and I love my job. I've got a list of client success stories a mile long. I'm very grateful for that. I have a gift for helping people discover what makes them amazing and helping them successfully put that to work in the world. So people love telling me their ambitions, hopes, and intentions, and I help them shape that and package that and put that to work in the world. And I, again, love what I do, and I'm excited for you, too, to love whatever it is that you do. That's my life's work. What would you say has stopped you from building a satisfying career? We talked before about the way people are feeling about their career, but what would you say has actually stopped you from putting it in play in a successful way? I know for me, I would lay in bed at night at certain points of my career feeling confused, a little bit lost, a whole lot uncertain. Can you relate? Struggling to find the freedom and satisfaction in my life. Working too many hours close to burnout and wondering if the only way to hit my income goals was to work even harder. Because you know what they say, nobody cares, work harder. We do not want to be part of this. We want a joyful, fun, engaged, professional life. Have you felt that you're overwhelmed by what's involved in landing a new job or changing careers and feel like it's all set up to fail you? Maybe you've tried, but you're sick and tired of wasting time talking to people who aren't really in a position to help you. And anyway, you're not even sure how to articulate how you want them to help you. That's another huge point of frustration. How do you actually talk to people and ask them for help if you don't know how to position yourself? And you may be thinking, geez, maybe it's just too late to start over. You might be also thinking, gosh, I'm embarrassed to talk to people about how I feel about my career because I don't want them to think that I'm underperforming in my role. You're sick and tired of dreading going to work every day, and particularly sick of that awful Sunday night anxiety. Well, just know about that Sunday night anxiety, you're not alone. You are seriously not alone. Gallup reports that 72% of employees in the U.S. dislike or feel disengaged on the job, and that's up from 69% in 2013. And by disengaged, Gallup means not involved, enthusiastic, or committed to their work or their workplace. And the reason being is that people are just not in the right jobs. They're not in jobs that play to their natural-born values, strengths, and talents. Make sense? That's why people feel frustrated, a bit humiliated, and they're lacking clarity, which just compounds the whole mess. They're feeling totally stuck, and they just can't get their breakthrough. Can you relate? I have totally been here at a few points in my career. The bottom line is, you need an exit strategy, and you need it now. History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it, said Winston Churchill. And we can adopt this phrase, because if you drive a stake in the ground and you make a determination that you're going to make change, you can do it. And I am going to provide to you the roadmap to get there. The awesome news is, if any of that information is relating to you and creating some angst, none of these things are really your problem. The problem is you haven't yet made the essential 3 shifts that I'm going to show you today. And more on these 3 shifts in just a minute, but just know that they will unlock the doors to you waking up every morning, jumping out of bed, excited to get to the job that you love, making the salary and benefits you desire and deserve, and getting what you're worth on your own terms. Feeling proud to tell your friends and family what you do or about your latest promotion. And being a leader in your field because your work is a full expression of your natural born strengths and values. This wildly effective career strategy will jumpstart and optimize your career without ever selling out to another soul roasting job, without selling out to financial duress, because that's going to be built in to the roadmap, without feeling like it might be too late, because it's never too late, and without feeling like you just don't know where to begin. You're going to get unstuck and you're going to see the roadmap and you'll be able to deliver on it. Because this is all about you. This life is all about you. What would your life look like or feel like if you couldn't wait to get to work every day? If you felt personally invested in your work, really excited about what you were doing, fully expressed and in sync with your values, your natural born strengths, and you were making the money you desired and deserved, what would your life feel like? I'm going to reveal to you the solution, conceptualized, developed, and delivered by yours truly. And I have worked really hard to create this program, this particular roadmap. I have reverse engineered the whole process and edited it and tested it and worked on it some more and some more. And it works like a charm. The tools of my trade, the 3 shifts: developing your strengths arsenal, defining your circle of genius and your operational output, and cultivating your true competitive edge. Before I tell you what you need to know, I need to completely disclose that I have an uncommon approach. Most career experts out there preach typical career search tactics, like follow your passions, and I'm all about following passions. But do your passions pay? I didn't think so. What else do the gurus tell you? The backstory being you becoming increasingly miserable, dreading going to work, life is a real grind, right? The old way of thinking and the old dusty, antiquated job search tactics will tell you, ask your mentors, your peers, your parents, your professors, your friends, maybe even your shrink, what they think you should be doing in your career. But what I have found in my experience is that asking people who know you the best what they think you should be doing in your career doesn't ever really reveal what you don't already know. Nothing new is really illuminated, so it doesn't really prove out. You might also be told to dust off your resume. The problem is that if you dust off your resume before you know where you're going, your resume isn't really going to be an adequate, true reflection of the value that you can offer in a new opportunity that's well suited for you. So the resume really should come much more towards the end of the process. And most people in the old way do it at the beginning. So you dust off your resume and then you secretly send it out to similar job functions in similar industries because, of course, in your mind you think that's all you're qualified for. So you don't give yourself the opportunity to try to research and make new connections to new and exciting things that are actually in line with your essential self. And beyond that, you might be posting to job boards, which is a sure shot to be dejected and fall deeper into despair because you typically don't hear anything back. It falls into the black hole of doom. So that antiquated tactic also does not work. What about interviewing? People tell you, sharpen your interview skills so you can best present yourself, but you don't really know where you're going yet, and you also aren't really applying to jobs that are well suited for you, so you're not really that excited about it anyway. And then there's always salary negotiation. Should you be a skilled negotiator? Of course you should be, but that's really not the focus at the beginning. You might be overwhelming yourself with all of these tasks when you haven't gotten clarity yet on where you're going. These are important things, but people do it in the reverse order. There is a natural sequence that needs to be followed to ensure getting the best result. There's also the negative invisible scripts that we continually tell ourselves. round and round in our heads. We might be thinking, well, gosh, maybe I need to stick around until I achieve a higher promotion before I make the jump, because then maybe I'll be more marketable. Not true. You might be saying to yourself, I need to work harder so that I'm perceived as a high potential, even though my soul is roasting. So you're continuing to sell out. Or I don't know if I've acquired the transferable skills I need to get to what's next. Whatever next is. Can you relate? The negative invisible scripts plaguing you, holding you back, making you feel less confident. The new way, the 3 shifts, will lead you to your desired result. Discovering your strengths arsenal is building and consolidating your many selves, the many parts of you that can be applicable to a variety of roles that you want to call your own in your professional life. Character strengths and leadership strengths define your strengths arsenal. Let's talk about them individually. Your character strengths are your values, and they're known as your way of being in the world. They're morally valued ways of thinking, feeling, and acting in the world, and they can be strikingly embodied in some people. Viscerally felt, they're found in your DNA, and most of them are non-negotiable. Then we also have your leadership strengths, which is your way of doing in the world. And this is how others experience and engage you, and they're highly valued in the workplace. And they're broken down into 4 domains: executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. And as I mentioned earlier, most people don't appreciate what their strengths are, and they don't appreciate what they are in a high-stakes situation, whether that be in a personal setting or a professional setting. How do your natural-born values and strengths play out in your life? And can you articulate those? Your values and leadership assets can be found here on 1 sheet of paper through 2 surveys, which I'm happy to let you know about. This is the way that you can capture them all, know them very intimately, and be able to speak about them when you go out and research job opportunities and speak to people to make connections that will lead you to great job offers. When you show up and you can actually articulate your values and strengths and how they can add value to an organization, you really set yourself apart from the competition. To describe anyone in terms of the weakness and shortcomings they do or do not have is to ignore half of the human condition, the good half. Obviously, that makes life worth living. Chris Peterson, one of the fathers of positive psychology, along with Martin Seligman, developed the positive psychology movement back in the year 2000, and the values work that we do directly comes from their work at the University of Pennsylvania. It's incredibly motivating and focuses on the best parts of the human condition and what those are and how they should be used often and in new ways to boost your well-being. Matt Labus, International Sales and Export Manager, 10 days out of the gate working with me, sent me this note about working on his strengths. Hi, Nancy. I'm blown away by how much I've learned about myself by revealing my strengths. This whole process has made me rethink my approach to my job search. Your program and process is awesome and has made me so excited and motivated to move forward in this next stage of my career. I feel so much more in control and so much more confident as how to better position myself moving forward. You've changed everything for me. I can't thank you enough. That was awesome. It is incredibly motivating and indulging for people to go through the strengths work and finally be in a position to articulate exactly who they are and what they do best. Caroline was a catering manager, and her first message out of the gate to me after we did the strengths work: thank you, Nancy. You are seriously so motivating in this quest, and I truly appreciate it. I'm excited to figure out what I really want to do so I can start kicking some butt. Caroline was awesome, and again, super motivated by the inspiring work that we did around developing her strengths arsenal. Shift number 2. Let's move to the next shift. Identifying your circle of genius and your operational output. The convergence of your natural born strengths, values, and the money that you need to make. We make sense of that, and then we establish connections to start thinking about how you're going to implement this in your professional life. So the perfect convergence of values, strengths, skills, and talents, think about them as being your assets. That's what you have to offer in your very particular, unique way to a potential employer, to creating your own endeavor. There's a variety of ways that can be put to work in the world. Your operational output is establishing connections, and think of it as connecting the dots to your right roles. We talked earlier about your many selves, and that refers to the fact that when you connect the dots to your right roles, there are a series of them, a variety of things that you could be doing in the world based on your particular strengths arsenal. And we will talk about that and put that into some context coming up. Professional renewal is making new contacts, people that can enlighten you with opportunities that are available to you. I have a very cool program through LinkedIn where you can very easily research and define whether roles and certain responsibilities that are applicable to certain jobs and careers are interesting to you and aligned to what you do naturally well. We open doors to new worlds and build that relationship capital, the network of people that will help move your career forward. Your relationship capital is very important to your personal and professional life, and the stronger the alliances that you can make with key people, the happier and more productive and successful you'll be. Let's talk about this in a visual context. Your circle of genius. Think about your values, your way of being in the world, viscerally felt in your DNA, right? And you have your strengths, your way of doing in the world, what you do best, how it plays out in the boardroom, it plays out in a high performance, high stakes environment like your career, and the money that you need to make. The convergence of these three elements, that red X in the middle, that's your circle of genius. That's where you want to be working for best results. Boosts well-being, excited to go to work every day, operating on all cylinders. That's where you want to be. If you're not, here's what happens. Here's an example. Let's say you're in number 1. You're in line with your values and strengths, but you're not making the money that you desire and deserve. That kind of turns into a grind after a while. Think about it in the context of like Steve Jobs when he was building computers in his garage. He hadn't changed the world yet. He was functioning in his realm of strengths. He was very good at what he was doing. It was certainly in line with his values. He couldn't have been more thrilled and more invested naturally from a values perspective in what he was doing, but he just wasn't making the money yet. Ultimately, of course, he did, but at that particular time, that's an example of functioning in the convergence of values and strengths without money. Number 2, strengths and money. No values. That could be aligned with, for example, working in financial services, making lots of money, you're good at what you do, but the company that you're working for or the organization or the mission perhaps was in line with your values at one point, but it isn't anymore, or it might never have been. But you sort of have the golden handcuffs because you're making lots of money and you're good at what you're doing. So what happens to people that work too long in convergence number 2 is they're likely going to become old, sick, and mean, which is not pretty. Number 3, you're in convergence with values and money. So you might be thinking here that you are living the imposter syndrome because your work is in line with your values, you're making the money you need, but you're not really that good at it. So you feel this nagging worry that you're going to be found out as somebody who doesn't really do the work well because it's not operating with what you do naturally. So we want to be right there in that red X. Does that make sense? That's a nice visual that sort of breaks down what we're talking about and what our goals are here by following the 3 shifts roadmap. Jackie Hayward was a digital director that I worked with who was seeking a promotion. Jackie was an interesting case because she was in an industry that she enjoyed, but just not in the right job. Some of you might be in this particular situation. So after a deep dive into what makes Jackie amazing, we created a job crafting strategy, meaning that she didn't necessarily have to change industries, but she needed to redirect into a different role. So she landed a marketing communications manager job that she was excited about. She was able to negotiate flexibility and a great salary to match, and she was very pleased and happy about making that shift. Here's what Jackie had to say. Nancy's excellent program, positive attitude, extensive career experience, and her awesome way of revealing my core values and strengths helped me win a promotion at work in a role that is much closer to what I want to do. It's amazing what happens when you realize what you genuinely like to do and how your inherent values and strengths can be an integral part of your work life. Nancy can lead you there. It was awesome. I loved working with Jackie. She was a lovely person, and it's very gratifying to see people land in a job that they love. There is a common thread underlying the fact as to why so many people are unhappy with their work. And hopefully that's becoming more clear to you as we talk through these concepts. They or you fail to understand who you are essentially. Do you know actually what makes you amazing? And can you articulate that in detail? Are you indeed doing work that doesn't play to your skills and strengths, the ones that you love to use? If you are, there's no surprise that the majority of people, and you, if that's your situation, find themselves and yourself shackled to jobs and careers they don't like, sometimes for a lifetime. Deborah Langley left a senior corporate role to begin a unique online fashion store. Deborah wrote, "This is a note of enormous gratitude to you, Nancy, because without your wisdom and insights, I'd never have made this life-changing move. Thank you." Last year, after leaving a senior corporate role to pursue something new, I was plagued by doubt and, yes, good old fear. I chanced upon Nancy and loved the message she expressed. Working with her on this major career transition was an incredibly timely gift, and her observations and guidance were just what I needed. Reinvention catalyst is a very, very appropriate description for Nancy. Deborah's awesome and doing fabulously. Okay, let's get into shift number 3, the cultivation of your true competitive edge. That's where we take the inner work that we've done, strengths arsenal, defining our circle of genius, and facing it outward to activate a renewed strategy going forward. So cultivating your true competitive edge is when we consider the findings of your strengths, the interests that you have, the problems you're excited to solve, the services that you might be excited to deliver and that you believe in, and we incorporate your financial desires. And we're building relationship capital. You're having conversations with people who are giving you more insight and more data and more information to help you make an informed decision about where you're going. It's a very thoughtful approach. Then you make a stellar marketing package like your resume and your cover letters. And your resume at that point is very clear, very concise, very punchy, packed with value so that the reader really understands what value you can lend to their organization just based on the way it's written. And bam, you're in great shape. One of two things will happen when we get to this point. Outcome number 1 is we have reviewed your current role or your endeavor, and we've studied that through the lens of fresh discovery. We understand who you are essentially and what kinds of roles are applicable to you. You might decide, like Jackie did, to stay within the same sphere and just job craft. Find a different role that's in a similar industry or even your same company that will help express your skills and strengths and make sure that you're making the money that you need. Or outcome number 2 will present itself where you'll be transitioning to a brand new role, a brand new endeavor, perhaps in a completely different industry, and that's executed very safely and thoughtfully via an informed approach that's aligned to the true you. So one of 2 things will happen here. Jane Matthews is an advertising executive turned writer turned nonprofit director. Jane is brilliant, funny, and she was highly acclaimed in the advertising industry. Except, as is the case for many, she felt like she needed a fresh start. She was seeking a deeper sense of self-expression in her career and imagining a new beginning, but couldn't really get clear on what that was and what the direction was. So we worked together, and Jane decided to leave her corporate job. She wrote a wildly successful book. She was published. And then she started her own consultancy and became a nonprofit director in the digital and advertising space. So she was leveraging her expertise in a completely different setting. It was a great, great success story. Jane said, Nancy helped identify my strengths and opened my eyes to different options that I had not even considered. She was true to her word and stuck by me, motivating and inspiring me to make things happen, and they did. She will take you through every stage of the process, piece by piece, until it all comes together. Nancy is my secret weapon. It was awesome working with Jane. Identifying your work ethos is something that you'll want to consider also as you go through this process, and I wanted to mention this as a point of perspective for you. Emerging, evolving, or maturing companies are available to you, right? So when you think about an emerging company, like a startup, you'd need to think about you being okay and happy and engaged with the love of the energy of innovation. You might have strong strategic strengths, which will come out in the strengths-based work. You will need to feel okay with the risk associated with a startup, but know that you're thriving off the creation of the enterprise from the ground up. You love having your fingerprint involved and being completely engaged in the actual beginnings of an organization or a mission. Evolving company is where you might be still excited to have your fingerprint involved and put into an organization, but you might be more risk averse than being okay with an actual emerging company. So you'll be happier and more comfortable in a company that's launched and underway, still growing and changing, but offering a bit more stability certainly than an emerging company. Or you'll be in the mindset of wanting to be in a maturing company. You like the security of an established enterprise, and you're okay with what goes along with that, which is typically slower moving, but there's a lot of benefits and stability certainly that are associated with maturing organizations. And provided it's one that's in line with your values and you're in a job that plays to your natural born strengths and you're making the money you desire and deserve, you could be perfectly happy in a maturing company. So it's a little bit of a visual here to review 3 kinds of work ethos. You might be thinking at this point, can I actually do this? But think, there is a roadmap. There is a boot pack to take you from the very beginning where you might be feeling lost and confused and lacking clarity to getting really clear and taking that boot pack right up to the summit and landing a job or transitioning to a new career that you love. Every thought you choose to think gives the rest of your body their operating instructions, said Gretchen Pisano. So if you believe that you can do it, and you have the mindset to believe in yourself and trust in yourself and understand who you are essentially from a strength standpoint and a values perspective, and you can articulate that, you can absolutely put that to work very successfully, wildly successfully in the world. I do it every day with people, and it's awesome. When you nail this, you'll go from confused to precise, from unclear to lucid, from lost to grounded. You'll be smarter and more in control so that you can channel that flame of ambition to a fire that lights up your career and your life. You will cultivate your true competitive edge, package it, and put it to work in the world. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle, said the great Steve Jobs. I couldn't agree more. There is a reason that this works. And there's also a reason why typical career strategy methods often lead to a disastrous result, which is to say, no result. Imagine having the confidence and clarity you're longing for, being totally poised and articulate when you approach a busy person to build your network. Imagine the excitement of doors opening to jobs and careers that you never thought possible. Today, I promised that you would learn a wildly successful formula that will unlock the doors to you transitioning to a new job and career that you will love. I also promised that your sense of confusion, insecurity, and uncertainty would be in the past because you'd finally be at peace with what you want to do, and you'd have the framework to get you there. So here's what you need. Let's review it. Uncover what makes you amazing. Your values plus your strengths equals your assets. That's what you have to offer the world. Discover that perfect convergence of your assets and your financial desires, that red X. Remember? And bounce them up against operational output, where we get either option number 1 or option number 2, job crafting or completely changing directions into something new altogether. You execute with confidence with stellar marketing materials, resume, cover letters that are laser focused on your goal. Crystal clear clarity, clear, concise, compelling, and wildly fulfilled. Can you imagine loving your work, living your purpose, jumping out of bed in the morning to get to work, making the money you desire and deserve, proud to tell your friends and family? Life is good. It's really good. So now you have a choice to make. The first choice, which is nothing. This requires 0 risk and 0 faith. And you can just decide that you're going to continue to experience the status quo with little or no change. So you'll remain underpaid, dissatisfied, desperate for a change, feeling undervalued, embarrassed that you haven't progressed, caged in, or feeling like you should be doing better, but you're not. Or you can do the second choice. Invest the time into seeing what's possible in your career, like all of these really cool people did. Be willing to change to create the life you desire and the career that you've been dreaming of. And take action. So here's how I can help. I have set aside some time in the next week to speak to you personally about how you can apply these strategies to your career. And the cost is free. Let's talk about who this is for. You must be absolutely 100% committed to stop selling out to a career that isn't true to you and find a job and career that you love by following the system that I outlined today. So what we talked about needs to have resonated. You must be willing and excited to reveal what makes you amazing and put that to work in the world. And if you don't, then this is not for you. So why am I doing this? Because I love to help people define their careers and create the livelihoods that they desire and deserve, and be happy at what they do every day. I love to be part of that solution. I was really good at it in my corporate career, and I'm really good at it today in my private consultancy. So if you want to sign up for the call, we'll dial in on your career, your specific goals. I'm really good at diagnosing what you might be doing wrong and give you some clarity on how to reach your goals, and fast, so that you'll get an exact strategy on how to make it happen and you can go off and implement it. If you want me to help you do that, and if we think it's a good fit, then I may invite you to become one of my clients that I take on. I only work with a select few clients at a time. And if we work together, I'll walk you through the program that's designed to get you to change the way you think about and act upon your career, which will ultimately, magnificently improve your life. So you will be crystal clear on where you're going, and I'll walk you through the framework, revealing what makes you amazing, your strengths arsenal, assembling that, cultivating your true competitive edge, and put that to work in the world. Let's talk about Rhonda. Rhonda was one of my awesome clients, and here's what she said about working with me. Nancy's brilliant approach to how a person can reveal their values and strengths to determine their assets resonated with me in an amazing way. She has guided me to understand how I operate on a deeper level professionally, such as from a place of strategy or execution. Nancy is engaging and genuine and appreciates the position of her client without judgment. Being one of Nancy's clients feels very personalized. She provides her utmost attention, is continually available, highly responsive, and very encouraging. She has empowered me to dig deep and realize my professional goals, allowing me to reinvent and rebrand myself professionally. I'm thrilled that I made the investment in both Nancy and myself. And the reason that I bring that to your attention is this is a personal view from Rhonda, and it's important that you understand how transformational this work actually is. And hopefully you're at a point in your career where you are tired of feeling unfulfilled, uninspired, and you want to make change, and you want to love your work, and you want to feel indulged by being able to invest in yourself to make that difference in your professional life and, of course, in your personal life. What I want for you, I want you to stop squeezing your career into a job that doesn't fit. You don't want your backstory to be how you survive the drudgery of a soul-roasting job. You were born to claim what you crave, to have your career be a source of positivity and enthusiasm, to end your day with your head hitting the pillow, feeling incredibly satisfied with your day's work. You were born to leave a positive mark on the world. This is your time. So click below. Spaces are very limited, so sign up now, nancysherr.com/apply. There's a quick survey that I'm going to ask you to fill out after you select the time on my live calendar. Please do fill out that survey. It is required to confirm your appointment, and that answers a few questions for me to help me best prepare so that we can get the very most out of our time together. I see a lot of people signing up for these strategy sessions. Awesome. Don't wait. Make sure that you click on that link, fill out the application. After you select your time, you will get confirmations in your email so that you won't forget. I will call you at the exact time of our appointment. We have 45 minutes to dive in and see really what's happening in your career and figure out if that's something that I can help you with. If I can help you, I will tell you what that looks like. And it will give you the opportunity to ask me a bunch of questions so that you can understand, to make sure that you are fully equipped and knowledgeable about who you are and why you would select any particular trajectory in your career, and help you make that a reality. Once upon a time to happily ever after, life just doesn't work like this, folks. You need to own it. You need to drive a stake in the ground and make the determination that you are going to make change. You need to view risk through a lens of reality. If you are tired of not getting traction in the process that you've been employing and you want to adopt a framework that works, sign up for a strategy session. Let's talk about it. If it's not right, that's totally cool. All I ask is that you come equipped with the commitment that you want to make change in your career, and that the framework that I have mentioned to you, that I've explained to you throughout this workshop, has resonated, that it's interesting, that it's exciting. There's nothing like this out there. Nobody that I know of in the career space has put together a program that is focused on you as an individual and as your essential self. This is a program that works from the inside out. What makes you so particular, underscoring that, being able to articulate that in a powerful, compelling, concise way, and put that to work in vocations, missions, problems that you're excited to solve, services that you're excited to deliver, perhaps even creating your own consultancy if you have an expertise that is valuable, that people will view as being valuable. I can help you assemble that as well. The beautiful thing about working with me is that the work is highly customized to you as a particular individual, and people really feel indulged by that process. It's tremendously confidence boosting and so on. So let's get to some questions before we wrap up. Steve asks, how much time, Nancy, do we need to invest in the program on a weekly basis? Great question, Steve. I would say about 6 to 8 hours a week is a good average. Again, some people get in and they go very quickly. They move very quickly through the modules. I think it's important to give some time in between to let things percolate. There's some exercises that I do, and by the way, there's nothing in here that isn't necessary. I do not like clutter, so this is completely void of fluff. You can think of it as all killer, no filler. This is a streamlined approach. It's not the kind of program that you're going to be sifting through to find points of information. It's very streamlined, very concise. Less is more, in my opinion. You can move through this at your own pace as quickly as possible, but I would say on the average, 6 to 8 hours a week is plenty to be able to move you through this. Remember, it's not like you're going to be sitting down every morning at your desk trying to figure out what's next. It's all laid out for you. So you don't even have to think about how to begin. The roadmap is handed to you, and I am there to help you every step of the way. Sue's asking, what do I do, Nancy, if I feel like I don't have confidence? Sue, that's a great question, and I will say this, that most people come to me after they have been trying for a while to successfully navigate and attain and realize a career transition. Most people feel like, well, I'm a smart person. I have a resume. I have a professional life. I should be able to figure this out on my own, right? So they go off after a career crossroads, whether they've been laid off or whether they're just completely miserable doing what they're doing and they've decided to make some change. And they try to employ a system, typically the old antiquated way, because that's always the way that we knew how to find jobs, right? Dust off your resume, go apply to job postings, which doesn't prove to be fruitful. So most people come to me after they're pretty beaten down by employing a process that has not been successful at getting them any traction. So they come to me with very low confidence, feeling kind of lonely, feeling defeated, feeling pretty hopeless. Some people say they feel lost at sea, so to speak. So the beautiful part about this program is it is assembled to build your confidence so that when you get very clear on where you're going and why and how to articulate that to busy people in your network, on job interviews with key people that you're interested in impressing with the value that you can lend to their organization or enterprise, that is tremendous in terms of building confidence and self-worth. And that changes everything, right? It changes the way other people view you when you speak powerfully and with articulation about the value that you can lend. And the only way that you can do that is to understand your strengths and the way that you can apply them to solve problems in the world and create a livelihood doing it. So the confidence comes with very quickly from the beginning of the program, actually from the first day. You will adopt this framework. Your life will change. It is a dramatic transformation, and people say that to me all the time. They feel tremendous relief, and very quickly they start building confidence because they understand where they're going. And that confusion and frustration and lack of clarity is alleviated very, very quickly. Let's take one more question before we wrap up. Samantha is saying, Nancy, this program looks great. I love the way you've laid it out. It makes a tremendous amount of sense. I'm just afraid that I might fail. What if I'm not successful? Samantha, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I'm sure a lot of people worry about the same thing. And again, I'll go back to what I mentioned a few minutes ago. You have to view this as an opportunity to make change in your life. Too many people that I've observed across my entire career are shackled to jobs that they hate, and some people live that out throughout the course of their entire lifetime. And that's really a shame. That's a tragic shame. If you adopt a framework that is proven and you make the determination that you're going to make change, failure won't be an option. You will be better for the experience. I am here to help you every step of the way, and I am personally invested in your success. Everything that I have created here is set up, as I mentioned earlier, to shorten the path and elevate the outcome to a superior result. So if you adopt the framework and you do the work, you will be successful. That is the reality. That is what has been found across all of the years that I've been doing this and working with people to help them achieve their professional goals. Viewed through the lens of not being super attached to the outcome, because when people get hyper-focused on the outcome, remember, outcomes do not lead to outcomes. Action steps lead to outcomes. And what I will be handing you on a silver platter, the keys to the kingdom, is an action step plan. You just have to do the next action step, and then the next action step, and then the next one, and so on. Action steps lead to outcomes. So if you get less hyper-focused on the outcome, and more focused on the action steps, which I'm going to hand deliver to you, you are going to achieve your result. That's just the way that it works. Okay, folks, listen, I hope that you enjoyed the presentation. I very much appreciate you being here. I very much appreciate your awesome participation. I hope that you'll take me up on my offer for a breakthrough strategy session. Please be clear on your intentions and take this very seriously, because I certainly do. This is an opportunity and an investment that I'm making in you, as long as you can meet me halfway. And again, make sure that you are serious about learning about the opportunity that you have at your doorstep. Take care, all the best to you, and I'll see you on the other side.